Welcome everyone to Monday Mark Making, and thank you for being flexible for this asynchronous class versus live today. Was fully planning to go live, was sitting here painting. My husband walks out 2 or 3 times. The router's dead, the router's dead. The internet keeps dying. It was fine all week since we've been here until today, so I'm not sure what's going on. But in Asheville, this happened when I was traveling in my Airbnb, and that was like, I was in a basement, so we figured out the signal wasn't strong enough and the woman was only using mobile hotspot. So that's why that didn't work. This is regular internet. I made sure to get that. It's just a router issue. So who knows, but we're going to do some fun mark making today. So all you need is a couple of markers. You're gonna do a couple of colors. I have 4 here that I'm gonna be using. And the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is draw a couple of different sized, either rectangles or squares on your paper with each color. So that was my magenta. I think I'll put this, and you want it to cover the full page. So these don't need to be the same size, but when they're all together, we want the full page to be covered. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Move my water out of the way. So this one's gonna be a big one. Say that's probably our focal point. And then let's do and what you're doing right now is building yourself little frames and containers to make marks in and practice your marks. So today we're going to do a type of mark that we haven't done before. And I actually was inspired by our Airbnb that we are at right now. There is a woven hanging decorative item in the Airbnb, and it inspired me to do this mark making design. So I hope you enjoy it. And now we have 4 little containers. If you're using Tombow markers like I am, so I just use the thicker brush pen end, but I'm going to use the smaller end for this actual activity. So you do want a pen that you can easily move back and forth. So I know for me, microns aren't so easy if I'm trying to do like curves and things like that. So I would suggest something with a rounded tip or at the end, or some kind of marker, something that's really easy to move around. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a type of meditative mark where we actually aren't going to lift our pen at all. So you're going to start with a design and just keep going and going and going until you fill your frame. So the design I'm going to do are like little loops. So I want to show you quick how to do it. So I'm going to use the same color in this frame, and maybe I want my loops to like angle down. I'll show you this example here. So you can see there's angles. This one is more like the woven piece in my Airbnb. So I'm just gonna go for it. We're not gonna think too hard about it. So I'm starting with a curved line and then I'm bringing it back, but I'm not ending and I'm not picking up my pen here. Instead, I just did to show you, but keep your pen down and then curve around. And then you can play with how close you get to the other line, how thick your lines are. And then just start playing. Not lifting your pen at all. This could also be a nice exercise to draw your breath. Or you can just do it. This action is very soothing. You could also do other shapes if you'd like. Now you can go in and fill in the gaps however you want. And as you're holding your pen, try to hold it loosely. You don't want any death grips or white knuckles today. This is your reset for your Monday. Hopefully it's going well so far. But a nice midday art break or morning art break can really set the tone for the rest of your day. So you can see I'm just filling in the gaps wherever I think or see they need filled. And I think this one's done. So that's the first color. And then let's move on to our next frame. And I'm gonna use the brush pen side of this one since the container is a little bit bigger. I'm gonna have a thicker line. I'm gonna come down here. Remember, we're not lifting our pen or our marker. We are holding it loosely. We're experimenting with how close and how far away your lines can be. And you can fill in the gaps wherever you need to. This is a really great exercise to tune into the sounds that your marker or your pen are making on the paper. I can hear some very distinct sounds from my Tombow brush pen tip on this paper. It's very soothing. These lines are going to be a little smaller. I'm kind of just doing a few random. I am lifting my pen a little for these, and that's okay. You need to do that. And there we go. So for the pink one, I think I'm going to do a very similar design to what is on this woven piece in the Airbnb. And it's basically two parts split down the middle. So one is coming down, and you can see it's kind of meeting. You could even set it up on the other side if you want. That helps. But then I'm gonna pull every line, no matter what. I'm gonna pull it right into that center. And that's gonna help us create the illusion of a center line without drawing one. This is an activity that you can do quickly, kind of how I'm doing now. I'm using the flow and the speed to get me into the zone, get me into a flow state, but you could go very slow as well. It's totally up to you. So now I'm just going to go through and do the other side. You can see it's not perfect. Every line is different. You see this one, I kind of got out of doing these loopies at the end and kind of just started doing like little pointy ones, and that's okay. They do look a little different. You can fill in any gaps by just continuing the motion. And there we go. There's number 3. And then last but not least, we have our green frame. I'm going to use the brush pen for this since opposite. We talked about balance yesterday in our abstract class. So here I'm going to create some balance by using the thin lines in these opposites and then the thicker in the green. If you want to get really fancy with this, you could look at your color wheel. Use some complementary colors, like these two are sort of complementary. And this one is all about, like I said, tuning into the sounds, how your marker feels on the paper, and really getting into a flow because you're not lifting your pen. You can even go back through and outline some of these, make some of them a little thicker to change the look. Could color them in if you wanted. Like maybe, for example, one idea for later, if you want to take opposite colors, if you did something similar to me,